Welcome to the Level Up Your Band podcast, episode 60. Hello, and welcome back to the Level Up Your Band podcast. My name is Gavin Patterson. I'm here with Julian Pombo. How you doing?
Hey.
How's it going?
I'm good, man. Things have been, to quote The Simpsons, things have been coming up Millhouse. So you Simpsons fans kind of things have actually been going really well. I got a new fancy DAW. So I'm using Cubase now. And things are just a lot better.
Yep.
I've got two monitors, so I've got Gavin over here on my right, and then I've got other stuff on the left. I got a new guitar.
Did you?
Yeah. Let me just get it. I bet you regret asking. Oh, how's it going?
Is that a telly?
I just got it pre-owned. Is
that a telly?
Just B stock. It's just a little white Squire telly.
Wow.
Sounds great, man. For the price, I paid 120 something quid for it, something like that.
Wow. It's really nice looking.
Spanky and pretty and stuff.
Single
it's
pickup.
Great. The only what?
Is that a single pickup? Oh no, it's two pickups.
No, it's two pickups. Yeah. Only thing, because it was B stock, there was a button missing on the switch. As if I care.
No.
Because that's that's super easy to replace, and there's a little blemish in the paint there, but
yeah. So what? Still sounds good.
So what? Oh, the blemish in the paint's gonna affect my tone.
Yeah.
But I've already recorded some stuff with it. It sounds great.
Damn.
Yeah, and I got some new headphones, so I can actually hear good now. I got some Audio-Technica M40s. I wonder if we should add that to the gear list.
Yeah.
Because honestly, for the price,
the M50s are on there. I know that.
Woo! Yeah, M40s for somebody who doesn't want to spend the extra on the M50s.
How much extra are they?
Let me have a look.
Because I always recommend the M50s just because they're so industry standard now. I've owned a pair for forever.
129.
When they first came out, that's when I bought mine.
Interesting. Let me just do a little bit of quick maths. And I paid this much for them because they were on sale. They're about 50 quid dearer.
Okay.
The M50s compared to the M40s.
I've listened to both. I've owned the M50s and the M70s, and I've heard the M40s. And the M40s are so similar to the M50s. The M50s have slightly more bass, slightly more exaggerated bass. If you're mixing music, you kind of want it to be unflattering and kind of boring flat, which is the headphones I'm wearing currently.
Well, that's kind of, it's, because these are tuned completely flat, that's the thing that I kind of noticed about a lot of music that I've been listening to recently. Things sound just a bit more balanced.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The difference between the M40s and likes of the M70s, the M70s upper end, that's when you start to get more expensive. The clarity of the top end frequencies is much clearer the more expensive you go. But that's you're getting.
I mean, for demo home studio mixing.
No,
I think I'll be fine.
Oh yeah, M40s are a very respectable set of headphones.
I'm not sitting here doing your job with super cheap headphones. Although I'm sure you could. You'd probably get on fine.
Yeah, I mean, I used to mix on M50s. All day long. I would mix on crappy. I'm still looking at them just now. I've got a set of M Audio AV40s or something, 100 quid studio monitors. They're terrible. Reliably terrible, and a set of Audio-Technica M50s, and I used to mix everything on that. I've now got a 2.1 Adam system in the studio. That's what I mix
Nice.
on, and I use the Slate VSX, I think they're called.
Those are fancy. Are they not like emulator?
Yeah. So they emulate the sound of. It comes with plugins, and you can put the headphones on, and it will superimpose the sound of a binaural sample of a room, like a studio or a stadium or whatever happens. It can even sound like the M50s. It's got a profile that makes it sound like I'm wearing my M50s, and it's really accurate, really, really close.
That's insane.
It just means that when I'm mastering, I can get a feel
Yeah.
for how the frequencies respond in different spaces. It's a good tool, especially if you've got a recording studio business. I wouldn't recommend buying them if you're just a consumer.
There's going to be that one guy.
Yeah, always. Yeah,
It's like,
definitely.
anyway.
This kind of ties in
let's
quite
carry
well
on with the episode, because
with money
this kind of ties in actually with the episode what we've been talking about, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so this is going to be a bit of a. There's going to be some bitter pills in this episode. Some hard pills to swallow. This is going to be about money management. I was going to tackle this from a band perspective, but I changed my mind and went for a more individual perspective. Because
Gavin, wait
whoa,
a second. I can hear everybody clicking off as soon as you had said the words money management.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Stupid joke.
Yeah. And now they're listening to, I don't know, Top 40 or something instead of listening to how to level up your band. Well, this isn't necessarily leveling up your band directly. This is leveling up yourself.
Which in turn will level up your band.
Yeah, because all this stuff it's all relatable. So, we'll start with the basics. So, both as a band and as an individual, it's hard to manage money because you're making music. Music is, or art in general, is very difficult to monetize. Which is why the meme of the struggling artist, the struggling musician, is real. In times gone by, the artist was always dejected and poor and
Yeah. I mean, we've got to be real as well. Like, it's gotten a lot easier, for sure, because the quality of life has increased.
Yep.
And in some points in history, it was probably more beneficial to be a musician than anything else. Like, if you're thinking back to 14th, 15th century, you could get a cushy job, just playing some tunes in a castle.
I don't think there were many of those
get fed
jobs going.
for
But
life. Now, and same thing with jesters. Like, you could, jesters were doing pretty well at the time. And what were they doing? Like, farting out tunes. Like, genuinely, like, that was a thing that they would do. They would they would fart out popular tunes and stuff, and everybody thought it was really funny. But yeah, for sure, it can still be tricky sometimes.
So I'm gonna kind of attack consumerism a little bit in this.
Good, man. 100%.
Yeah.
Raw consumerism is terrible.
I hate that our culture, like Western culture, is so full of consumerism. It's so bad. Just as there are many things in your life competing for your attention, that's what all social media apps are designed to compete for your attention, to try and grab your attention for longest. That's what the algorithms are selecting for. They're trying to grab your attention. There are also many different things in the world competing for your hard-earned money. So the key to money management is first figuring out what your long-term financial goal is. So we're talking to musicians here. This is level up your band, and bands have musicians, so we're talking to musicians. So a lot of people listening to this, your long-term financial goal as an individual is to become a self-sufficient professional musician. So that's always been my goal. Is I wanted to be self-reliant and be a musician and earn money from being a musician solely. That's what I wanted to do. That's the dream for me.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult thing to do, but it can be done. So if you accept that's what you want to do, then you know what your goal is, and you know what you should be investing in. So if you are, for example, struggling to pay for strings or drumsticks or a new guitar lead or even things like car insurance, or
car repairs,
rent, anything. And
anything.
Here we go, here comes the attack. And you simultaneously pay for a Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, PlayStation Plus, fill in the blank account.
Yeah.
Then there's some problems here.
Can I add some things on there that's going to make some people even more mad and salty? Alcohol, and tobacco.
Yep.
I'm also going to add those in there. And I'm in a place where I'm quite lucky that I can still afford the old bottle of alcohol here and there. I'm not making a habit out of it, but those things can 100% burn an unnecessary hole in your pocket.
Yeah.
But yeah, on top of all these subscription services.
They're so bad.
Totally.
So bad. I recently just went on my bank and just had a look at my monthly expenditures because, I've not got as much money coming in as I used to because of COVID. It's because of COVID. It's not because of COVID. It's because of lockdowns. I can't do weddings for a start. That is because of lockdowns. And people aren't coming to the studio in their droves as they were because of lockdowns and because of restrictions and all the rest of it, and people don't have the money. And so I've had to look at my bank and see what am I paying for monthly that I really don't need. I can't justify this. So necessity comes before comfort. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs again. Back to episode 4 or whatever it was we did. Oh, it could have been episode 2, 3. Really early on.
The first thing, one of the first things we touched on.
I'm gonna get it wrong, but the basic principle is there's a hierarchy of needs in just day-to-day life. So your bottom stuff is like your essential food, water, shelter thing. And
I've got it here.
Yeah, go for it.
Physiological needs. Yeah.
Go on, rhyme them off.
All right. Okay. So you got your pyramid.
Yep.
At the base, you've got your physiological needs. So that's food, water.
Yep.
Shelter.
Yep.
Rest. Then you've got your safety needs, which is your security, and just your general safety, right? So those two are kind of lumped in your basic needs. Then you've got your psychological needs, which are your esteem needs and your belongingness and love needs. Okay, so that's like prestige and feeling of accomplishments, intimate relationships, friends, family, that stuff. And then right at the very top, okay, the very last thing is self-fulfillment needs. Okay,
right.
So that's basically achieving one's full potential, including creative activities.
Right. Okay.
So that's kind of how. So that's your baseline is your absolute necessities to actually thrive.
Right. From what I've read, the validity of Maslow's hierarchy of needs has been questioned by a lot of people, but the general feeling of it, the general message of it is accurate. Basically what he's saying is there should be a hierarchy to things you do and a hierarchy of importance to the choices that you make, and you can't really argue the fact that you can't make decisions in the world about things outside yourself when you don't even have food on the table, right? So there is a hierarchy, like buying a PS4 game when you haven't paid your rent. There's an imbalance there. You have to, like, where you live, your house, your home, That comes first. Yeah. Then the pleasure comes, and it's getting that mixed up. Is just you're just asking for a disaster. And
yeah.
So your goal is to be a self-sufficient musician. That's what you want. That is your necessity. So the pleasures and comforts that financial gains bring comes after you've made the sacrifices, in order to achieve your goal. So with that in mind, you've got your goal. You know what you want to do. You know what you want to be. You want to be a self-sufficient musician.
Yes.
Things you might want to reconsider purchasing. So, for example, I've seen this a lot. You have people simultaneously on the dole and are struggling day to day, really bad job, unhappy, and simultaneously go out and buy the latest iPhone 12 monthly subscription package instead of buying an equivalent that does the exact same thing for a quarter of the price, like a 5-year-old iPhone, which essentially is the exact same software, does the exact same thing, and it costs a quarter of the price.
I just try and, when I buy phones and things like that, I try and make it last as long as possible.
Yeah. Look after it. Yeah.
Occasionally I mess up. I'll show you. Oops.
Did you crack your screen?
I don't know if you guys can see that. It's all messed up.
Did you drop it?
So I had to get a new phone. I was listening to a podcast and it slipped out of my dressing gown somehow. I think I bent over to get something and I've got like tiles in my kitchen, so it just...
Did you have a case?
Exploded. No, I'm stupid.
How much is a case? How much is a case, Julian?
Smooth brain. A case isn't even that expensive.
Less than a tenner?
Yeah, it's about that. I know.
Right.
Do you know what it was? I had a case for it, and I used to not, because I used it so much as a sat nav for driving around and things like that. The case didn't fit on my, and I used to have to constantly take it off, and it was just annoying.
Right.
So eventually, I just got used to keeping it off. When really, what I should have done is just get a thinner case.
Yeah.
But smooth brain, Julie. I have my smooth brain moments.
Everybody does. Don't worry. It's fine.
This is why I'm here on this podcast, because I'm here. I'm the I'm the real life representative of the people. I'm here and I've learned. I've changed my ways.
Yes. And level up your band. We don't need a devil's advocate. We literally have the devil on the podcast.
Yes. Yeah. We have the village idiot who does all the stupid stuff, and then goes, "Yeah, it was stupid."
No, I do the same. Don't worry.
No, everybody does, but yeah,
I've done loads of stupid things like that. I'm always like, be careful with your headphones and don't leave them at the edge of desks so that when you grab the cable, you don't drop them. And simultaneously leave the cable dangling so that I catch it with my foot and knock them onto the ground and break the headband. I've done that more times than I'd like to say. So, yeah. Moving on. The phone thing is a big deal. It's a real big deal because phone companies just want you to buy the latest phone. And companies like 3 or T-Mobile or Orange or whatever they call it now, EE, they just want you to get onto the new subscription service, blah blah blah. They always want you to buy the new phone. So consider buying a second hand. I'll give you an example. I've got an old iPad Air 2, came out 2016, which I bought second hand from a C exchange last year or 2 years ago, and it's perfect working order. It's still really fast. It was B stock. They have A, B, and C second-hand stock. So A is it's all second-hand, but or used if you're an American. A stock is no scratches, no bumps, no scrapes. Everything's perfect. B, it has tiny bumps, little scratches, slight wear and tear. And a C has got major dents and scratches and breaks, but it still works. It's still functional. So I went for a B and got an iPad for, I think it was £200 with a case, where the equivalent iPad that was brand new, if I was to buy that iPad brand new, it would be over £400. Just like that. And I was using that iPad for work in the studio, so I use it as a remote control for Cubase. So it means I can record whilst not being in the control room. I also use it for gigs at weddings. I use it for operating the mixer for the in-ear monitors, and I use it for like set lists, chord charts, things like that. And I wasn't going to be going to buy the most expensive latest one, blah blah blah.
No.
So it's something to consider. You can now get really cheap iPhones that are a couple of generations old, and they're still fine. They still work. I'm using an iPhone SE. This one came out in 2020, but it's still it's the cheapest iPhone you can buy currently. And it's fine. It does me.
Like I showed you at the very beginning of this episode, this applies to instruments as well. You know.
Yeah.
Like.
Yep.
You don't need to be buying the most expensive. The most expensive and new thing that's come out.
Yeah.
You know, you can really, like just have a look online, get buy something, and especially if you're like me and you're quite sort of like practically minded, I'm happy to sit and tinker around and fix things.
Yep.
Until it's fixed and it plays good.
I'm going to
even then, if you have,
I'm going to give you an example of that kind of thing, and you do these wee justification stories, right? I'm in my Cubase right now, and I'm going to go down to my plugins, right? And I've clicked on my EQ tab so it shows you all the EQs I have. You'd be disgusted how many EQs I have. It's ridiculous. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43 EQs. I have 43 EQs just in my EQ tab. Right.
I've got 4.
Right. Who can guess how many of those? What did I say? 43. How many of them do I use? See if you can guess.
I'm gonna say like 3.
I'm just counting currently. 1, 3.
Is it slightly above 3? Am I close?
I use 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, it was
4.
I was nearly about to say 4, but
right.
Yeah,
that's
3.
That's
still
just in the EQ tab. I use 4 of them. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I do this too. I have bought stuff that I don't need. Waves, plugin sales, constant sending me emails. I'm like, oh, a new plugin from Waves. Come to Papa. and then I use it on 2 projects, and then it goes into the bottom of my hard drive, and I forget all about it because I don't need it. I don't need it. I fall prey to this. I'm really bad, and that's you justify it by saying, oh, it's music gear. I'll need it. There's a client that wants this kind of sound. Rubbish, right? You can achieve that already, and it goes for guitar pedals, and it goes for bass amp pedal boards and new bass cabs, or cymbals. Oh, I need these ergonomic drumsticks because reasons. Everyone's done it.
Yeah, I mean, the only one where I need to watch myself, and this is the good part of having a partner who can keep you in check. Occasionally, I'm like, I could do with a new bass, because I need this particular sound. The latest thing was I wanted to get myself like one of the it's out of stock now. I don't know that they're gonna make them again, but they were really cool. They were like shell pink Fender Squier Bronco basses. It's just like a tiny little like one pickup bass guitar. Sound really, really cool. I've played one before. And I was like, I could do with another short scale. And Rachel was like, but don't you have one? I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to have round one strings on it. And then I thought to myself for a minute, actually, after a while, monkey brain, like my actual, rational brain kicked in and was like, you could just put round wound strings on your current bass,
There's a
your
thought.
current short scale bass, and it would sound.
That's the equivalent of going, my car's a bit dirty. Well, I guess I need a new car.
It kind of, yeah. Because at the so it's little things like that,
Oh, it's fun.
It's just silly, yeah.
So yeah, another thing you might want to reconsider ditching if you are or not purchasing. Yet another TV subscription service that will inevitably sit unused most of the time. So your Disney Plus, your Netflix, your Amazon Prime, your Now TV, your HBO Max, and all
Crunchyroll
this.
for you anime fans out there.
What's the horror one?
Shudder.
Shudder, that's the one.
That's a new one.
So, again, I fall prey to this too. I have a Netflix account. I use an Amazon Prime account. I have a Disney Plus account. Now, I bought all these when I had stable, regular, decent income. These things look increasingly irrelevant, financially irrelevant to me. The less money I make. So a lot of these things, I'm like, I could drop this. And Audible, an account.
Rachel and I did the same thing. The only one that, the only subscriptions that I pay for are for my QuickBooks,
right,
and Audible.
Okay,
like that's it. Because I use Audible quite a lot. I prefer to listen to things rather than reading. Sometimes I like to read and listen. That's a good laugh. Anyway,
I would say Audible in my case, and it should be in most people's cases. I would class that as education, because I always buy educational
but even
books.
then, like the thing about Audible is it can be really easy to just end up with a huge back catalogue of like audiobooks, and then you're like, I haven't listened to most of these yet. So just cancel it, man. Like,
if you're in that position,
if you're in that position, because at some point, like, it's just gotta stop.
So here's a fun one. I was doing some research recently into if you live in the UK, the BBC TV license, and it seems to me, from what I can find out about it, that you're actually, like, there was this opinion in Britain that if you own a television, then you have to have a TV license, and they'll come and get you and put you in jail if you don't pay it. It's actually not true. You actually are not legally obliged to have a TV license. You are only legally obliged to have a TV license if you watch mainstream telly, so that's live television, and you have an aerial, and if you use the BBC iPlayer app for catch up, or watch
which
live
it used to
TV.
not be the case.
If you watch live TV on Channel 4 catch up, say on the Channel 4 catch up, or the ITV catch up, or the Channel 5 catch up, if you're watching live TV on that, you still need to have a TV license. But if you're watching just standard old catch up, you don't. If you watch the iPlayer at all, you have to have a TV license. So you actually don't need a TV license. If you don't watch mainstream telly and you don't use the iPlayer and you don't watch live TV on the other TV apps, you do not need to pay a TV license in Britain. And the TV license is almost £200 a year. That's a lot of money.
I mean, I don't know anybody our age that still watches TV. The only time I ever watched TV, and this was pre-COVID, Rachel and I would go around to her parents, and it'd be like, oh, let's see what's on the telly. And then you sit after dinner, and and most of the time it was catch-up. Like, it was pre-recorded stuff, like Great British Bake Off. Bake Off and
or
things
comedy
like that.
shows from the 1970s.
Or comedy shows. Or, like, seasonal things. Like, it's like Christmas or, like, Big Fat Quiz of the Year, things like that.
Doctor Who and things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But apart from that, just Netflix and
Yeah.
YouTube, like
yeah.
YouTube, man, is just it's insane.
Yeah.
The quality of content that's on there. You can be quite cheeky actually, and the people have re-uploaded lots of like old BBC documentaries. Go watch them on YouTube if you like.
Well, yeah. So you touched on this earlier. The daily trip to the shop to purchase, insert whatever, cigarettes
or
alcohol.
The daily the daily trip or weekly trip to the shady alleyway. To meet whoever it is.
Yeah.
Jim, Jose, whatever. Just run. Insert name.
Insert name. Yeah. Yeah. That's clearly not in your best interest. If you simultaneously say, "Oh, I can't afford the rehearsal guys. Oh, I can't afford to put money towards buying 100 more CDs for our gigs. Oh, I can't put money forth for the artwork guys this month," and simultaneously are taking your ass to the pub or down to the local corner shop to buy cigarettes,
or the local alleyway,
or
to get whatever else,
or to Netflix, or paying your monthly subscriptions to XYZ things that you don't really need. You need to get your priorities the right way round.
It sucks.
It's hard.
It's true.
It's tough. It's tough love.
Yeah.
It honestly, you start to get your Maslow's hierarchy of needs pointing in the right direction, things will go well for
Gavin,
you.
I could hear more people clicking off and going, "Stupid boomers, they don't understand."
Yeah,
because millennials are boomers now.
I'm going to start saying bucko and things like that now.
You're going to start doing a Kermit the Frog impression.
Oh, you've seen what it is.
These damn kids don't clean their room.
Yeah. So, okay, with this all, say you get hold of all this, you cancel some subscriptions that you're not really using anymore, or you feel that the money would be better spent elsewhere. Think of, I don't know who said it, but there's a saying, a pound saved is a pound earned, right? So the money that you save should be treated as money earned. Because if you are paying, for example, I have just finished a year paying on car insurance, so I've got a new quote, a new term of car insurance, and it is £300 cheaper this year than it was last year. I am saving myself £300 this year.
Well done.
Because I got a better quote. Because I was paying car insurance for 10 years and little did I know, wasn't earning no claims. And when I changed provider, when I switched across, and they were like, "By the way, you don't have your no claims bonus here that's been saving up since 2009. So my price tripled in one go. And I'm paying for a van, and van insurance is always dearer than car insurance. So it would really hurt me. So this year I'm like, it's starting to go down again because I'm building up a no claims again. And I've just saved £300, and I'm like, that is like money earned to me right now, because I'm not earning money because of lockdowns. So that's been a huge weight lifted, because I'm like, yes. So when you count that as money saved, as money earned, then this money should be invested into building towards your goal, which is being self-sufficient musician. So some things you can invest in. This is some positive stuff now.
Yeah. So we told you things.
Yeah.
We've been very nasty, and we've grilled you.
Yeah.
Right. And for the people that stayed, this is the good stuff.
It is important to have a do not do list as well as a to do list.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, do not do, fill in thing that you're guilty of, like spending money on Steam sales when your electricity bill still needs to be paid. You're guilty. So things you can invest in. I put number one here, which is probably the most important, is education. So this I'm always doing this, framing this towards musicians. Music lessons, business management, social media, music streaming. There's so much out there to learn.
Yeah. Actually, that's really good that you put in music lessons, because this reminds me of a video that I recently watched by I don't know if you've heard of the bass player Yannick Gwizdala.
No, I don't think so.
Great, fantastic bass player. And he's done a couple of interesting. He's written a couple of interesting books on music business and the like. But he did a really interesting video, which was basically, it was titled something like things that pro athletes do that pro musicians don't, and pro athletes still get coaching throughout their entire career.
Yeah.
And we don't.
No, we don't.
We get out of university and then we're like,
I guess I'm a bass player now.
Everything now. Yeah. But like 100%, I've actually, once things start doing a little better, I think I am going to set, get bass lessons, get guitar lessons, actually spend some time with somebody. It's not weekly, but I once a fortnight, that kind of thing. That it's very, very useful stuff, and you're investing in yourself, and you can do that for like a couple of months at a time if you like. And if you feel like you don't have time or you don't, then just stop and then wait and come back to it, because like pro athletes don't get coaching every week round, it's like in preparation for things, but the idea is still there. Like, we just stop getting coached, and we should be. Even if it's just from a friend, so like
accountability.
I'm a guitar teacher. I play guitar. I because I've been doing so much of it over lockdown, I'm like feeling like I'm getting pretty good, but I'm never going to be as good as some of the people that I know that are actual pros. And I was sitting there going, I could just be talking to some of my friends, and getting them to coach me. It's as simple as that.
It's,
There's
an ego involved.
Music
I think that's the problem. Is the ego, the musician's ego.
That's the other. 100%. That's another problem. It's like not wanting to admit certain things. It's like so dumb. Just stop that.
Yeah, I've always considered going back into getting drum tuition again. But like the excuse I used was I was too damn busy, because during the peak busyness, like I'm talking 2019 was the last time I was busy. We're talking like a gig a week at on average. So I mean, there would be some weeks I'd have 3 or 4 gigs a week, plus recording all through the week as well. And I'm like, I don't even have enough time to get my drums out of the van to practice, let alone have lessons. Like, it's been like, lockdown's been a curse and a blessing. Like, my drum kit has been set up for almost the entirety of lockdown, which means I can just sit down and practice whenever I want, which has been good, actually. But yeah, I mean, investing in self-education is really, really valuable. I've been neglecting my drumming for the last 5 years, maybe even 10 years, just because I've been really focusing on building a recording business, and I've been focusing on that. So I've spent a lot of money on. I've probably spent over £1,000, way more than £1,000, on online courses for mixing. I've entered into mixing lessons, so mixing courses. I've entered into business courses. I spent like £700 or something on a producer course, how to run a recording business. That was immensely helpful in dealing with like how to run a successful home studio.
Yeah, and if you're looking for things that you can kind of do in your own time as well, there's like sites kind of what you're it's kind of touching on what you were saying there. Sites like Udemy and Skillshare,
Yeah.
really good resources. There's gonna be a class
Yeah.
for everything and anything, you know. So if like me, for example, you're although I've just this is just through proxy of not proxy, but like just sitting and spending time with it. I've been brushing up on my DAW skills, but if you're really needing some help, there'll be a class on there on Skillshare. Telling you how things work.
Yep.
And how to do stuff. Like, you don't know how to use Cubase? Go on Skillshare or go YouTube.
Yeah.
There's some decent free stuff on YouTube as well.
100%.
So,
some of the courses I entered in, they go into a lot more depth, and the reason they're so expensive is because you can speak to the people who wrote the courses and actually talk to them on a phone or a video call or whatever, and you can get like actual one-to-one help. That's the price you pay, and you have access to all this course material and PDFs and stuff forever. And it's really great if you can find a really good one that really suits what you want to do. For example, I struggled for as long trying to get drums sounding right on a mix, and I would always get to I had a sound in my head that I always wanted to get, and I would always get about 80%, 70, 80% where I wanted, and it always used to annoy me. There was always these ongoing problems, and I went and I did a mix course. There was just this one mix course in particular I went towards, and the way this guy dealt with drum EQ totally blew my mind. And I learned more in that than I did in the past 5 years. Just from that, I'm like, okay, right, I've been thinking about this wrong. And as soon as I started implementing some of the things I'd learned, I was getting the sound in my head, like 99% of what I wanted. And it's just, so good when you start to really understand what you're doing, and that's through education. That's something that is so. You're not investing in education as such. You're investing in yourself. Constantly leveling up your education is just an investment in your future, in yourself. It's exponential, the returns you will get from investing in that. It's endless, the amount of potential there. And that goes across learning your instrument. Business management's a big one as well, which was part of the course I entered into because I'm a self-employed musician, self-employed studio guy, recording stuff. Actually, doing the job, I'll get onto this in a second, but actually physically moving the faders and doing the EQs, that's one thing. But actually managing the business, how to get customers to click on your website, how to manage an actual website, how to manage social media, how to do SEO, and how all that, and the customer service and the booking software and calendars and the money and the books and doing your taxes and all. It's just so massive. It's a lot to take on for one person. So a course detailing all this stuff is so valuable, and it was worth every penny that I paid for it. And you can also get classes on social media, how to level up your Instagram. Everyone needs their Instagram leveled up. Let's face it, as musicians. Music streaming as well.
I've not touched my Instagram.
Oh yeah,
in so long.
yeah.
Partly because I was like, I'm done. I don't care about it. I don't want anything to do with it. Because it can get like that as well, So part of it was that, but yeah, at the same time, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Music
don't
streaming
have
as well.
To say.
Streaming is so new. Everyone's kind of just flying by the seat of their pants. But there are lots of courses online on basically describing on how does Spotify really work? Nobody really knows exactly how it works. They know what it is, but how to really get into it. If you learn how a thing works, then you can use that knowledge to your advantage. How you can work the system to your advantage. Education's so good.
Totally.
So another thing you can invest in, and the reason this is second, because I don't think it's as important, gear. So the term is...
I can hear guitarists now leaving.
Yeah, we're basically just talking amongst ourselves now. So gear only when it is necessary and only when it will pay for itself. So when you buy a piece of gear, you should ask yourself these two questions. Do I really need it? Now, if the answer is yes, well, I expect that's because your last guitar broke or is unfixable, or I really need this thing that I'm going to buy because it's going to enable me to do this other thing, which will make me money or will do a thing.
In my case, with a new guitar, I was actually borrowing Rachel's dad's
electric guitar,
Yamaha, and I was like, I'm at a point now where I can just have my own. I can get my own guitar, so I did.
Right, because you didn't actually have an electric guitar in the house.
No, I didn't really. I was borrowing one, So
right.
Yep.
And
it's another example. Like, you don't actually own an instrument; you're borrowing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You play bass in the band, and you're borrowing like the lead guitarist's bass guitar, but he doesn't use it anymore. Offer to buy it off him. Or maybe he'll be nice enough that he's just like, oh, just take it, it's a gift. But
yeah.
Or just buy your own.
Yeah.
And give it back.
Now, I'll give you an example of a time I bought something and it made money back. Right, I've used this before. My drum kit. Right, it's paid for itself 100 times over. It's easily the best investment I've ever made. Easy. Another example would be my studio monitors, right? The accuracy I get from them, the sound quality has helped me make really great mixes. And here's another example of something that's not good. There's a plugin I've used maybe less than 10 times, and I got it when it first came out. It was the DBX 160, whatever it's called. It's a compressor from Waves.
Right.
It's primarily used for like drum bus compression, things like that. You can use it on other stuff too. And I got it. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I used it on my drum fader a couple of times, and eventually I got bored with it. It wasn't doing the thing I wanted to do, and it ended up it's now on my hard drive. And I spent, I don't know how many hundreds of pounds on it, and I never use it. That was not in my best interest. I just paid for gear that was not necessary, and it did not pay for itself whatsoever. Not a good idea. There's probably loads of examples of things I've bought that just are no reason for having them.
There was one, I've got a good example, and it eventually ended up sorting itself out, but for a long time it didn't. I'll get it on shot actually.
Okay.
I bought this thing when I was in first year of university, right? And
it's a Framus,
when I bought it,
short scale bass.
It's a Framus bass guitar. I can't remember the actual. I can't remember the name of the model. It's like a bunch of random letters.
It's an old 1970s guitar, right?
Yeah. It's from the they stopped production in 1970s. So I'm dating it from there. So it's like it's going to be nearly 50 years old at this point.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Really cool bass guitar. Now that it works, when I bought it, it wasn't in working condition.
Okay.
Right, and it was for the longest time a waste of money because it was just sitting in my room doing nothing, and I was also sitting there looking at it, and I was like, "What am I going to do with this? I can't even sell it."
Yeah.
It didn't even have frets on it. Somebody had torn the frets out, and it was completely unplayable. And then eventually ended up spending another £200. So I bought it for £300, spent another £200 on it, getting it completely refretted, getting the electronics worked on, getting it completely set up. Now, since I set it up, I've been using it a lot. I've recorded with it loads. I've gigged with it loads. it's definitely made its money back by now.
Mm-hmm.
But for the longest time, it just didn't.
Yeah. It was just luck.
And it was only, and it was a bit of a gamble, really. Like, I could have done it. I could have made it all pretty and stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure even when I took it into the shop, they were like, you sure you want to do all this? It's going to cost you a lot of money. And I was like, I want to do it. I just want to do it. Because even then, the resale value wouldn't be that great. So I got it done up. I'm kind of glad I did, because it doesn't sound like anything else that I have. It's a completely unique sound. Yeah, I've recorded with it in your studio. It's a nice sounding bass. It's definitely different from other stuff.
Yeah, it's very different.
But it's good to have that, and I'm glad I got it done up.
Yeah.
But there's a story of me buying something and potentially wasting £300.
Mm-hmm.
Plus more, because I had to get new tuners for it as well, because the original tuners literally disintegrated.
Right.
I crapped my pants when I was tuning it up, and then the tuning key just fell apart in my hands. I was like,
oh dear.
Oh, okay.
That's new. Is this supposed to be detachable?
So yeah, and because of that, because it doesn't have the original tuners on it, resale value has gone down even more. But I don't plan on selling this. This is going to be making the rounds around my family. I'm going to be giving it to somebody.
Yeah.
After I expire, probably.
Yeah. It's things like that. You've got to weigh up. Could I do the same job with this piece of gear that I am eyeing up that I want to buy? Could I do the job that I want to do with a piece of gear I already own? And that would have saved me from buying that stupid compressor and the stupid EQs that I have.
Yeah. There's a lot of instruments like that I never stopped to sort of think about, like that bass guitar there. Like, I could have 100% not bought it and played my other basses on tracks and it would have been fine.
Right.
But instead, I bought it. But I still use it anyway, because I got really lucky. But I could have been a total piece of junk. That's usually the case. That's usually what happens.
Right.
So you need to be careful.
Yeah. So another thing you can invest your monies in that you earn from cutting things out that you don't need. Marketing. This is always overlooked. So Google ads, Facebook, Instagram ads, SEO, all that stuff. So if you're, I don't know, in a wedding band, or you're a self-employed studio musician and nobody knows who you are, you've got a YouTube channel of you doing some bass tutorials and covers and stuff, or drummer, or whatever you happen to be. If you want people to find out who you are, some online marketing can help. If you say you own you've got a garage at home and you've got it all kitted out, you're a drum room and you record drums, you're a remote drummer, then you need to advertise. You need a website, you need to advertise, I'm a remote drummer, I will record drums on your tracks. Here's some stuff that I've played on before. All these tunes. People will come and go, oh, this guy's a really good drummer. I would like you to play drums on my track remotely. So you send them the stems, they record the drums. Lots of people do this. It's very hard to do. You need to be very good at doing it and really proficient. But that's something you can do as a self-employed musician, and you can use marketing to help you, like Google ads and things like that. Studios as well. People like myself I used to spend £200 or £300 a month on Google ads for like a year, way back, maybe like 5-6 years ago, and I got a lot of clients out of that. It made a lot of money back, but what I found was it was incredibly difficult to try and select out the certain type of clients that I wanted to get. So I ended up pulling it back and trying other things. I just found that it's incredibly difficult to pinpoint the type of client. In my case, if you're just a drummer and you're looking for someone to hire a drummer, it's quite specific. Whereas lots of different types of people want to hire a studio. It could be a a DJ wanting to record backing tracks. It could be a rapper wanting to do rap. It could be a person wanting to do, I don't know, voiceovers. Like there's so much. So like trying to narrow down, because there's a select type of client I want to encourage in my band, in my studio. And it's usually bands. Rock music bands. And that's hard to do. But you need to educate. That's why I put educate above, because you can get education on business management and online marketing before you spend cash, hard-earned cash on ads, because that's a black hole. You can spend a lot of money on ads that if you do it wrong, you can waste a lot of money. Another thing's SEO. If anyone's done any online web building or development or anything, the SEO spam that you get. So SEO is search engine optimization. That's how you get up in Google. So there's different techniques that you can do and use to get your name up higher in the Google search results. And it's a bit of a black art, and you get a lot of these companies will contact you and go, we can do SEO for you for this amount of money, and some scammy websites. You can do a lot of it yourself. For example, our podcast, when we first started out, we were like way down, way down. And one of the best things to help SEO is regular content. We post once a week, and we're on episode 60 now. That's 60 episodes of Level Up Your Band, which means that's 60 instances where it will manifest in Google. So now we are right at the top because we are consistent. We're consistently releasing content. That's why everyone and their granny says, if you want to get noticed online, you need to have regular repeating content, reliable.
Yeah.
That's how you get up in YouTube. That's how you get up in Spotify. That's how you get up in Apple iTunes, podcasts, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
It's the same all across the board. That's how you get up in SEO. You just have to be there a lot. So these are the type of things you can invest in with the money.
Applies to real life as well, actually. Should say that. Like if there's like a local gig night and things like that, and you want to be involved in a particular kind of scene,
be there.
You know, it was one of the mistakes that I made, right? When I was studying jazz music, and it was because I was a total coward. I was too scared to go to jams because I was like, oh, I'm scared of what people are going to think
judged.
of me in my playing and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no. I wish I hadn't thought like that. It's so stupid. You know, but just be there. Like the people that get gigs are the ones that are there.
Top of mind. They're top of mind. Yeah, that's the people that get the gigs.
Even if they're crap, not saying that, anybody there is crap, right? But like, even if compared to you, like, and it's been scientifically, objectively proven that you are like the better bass player over this guy, but the guy that's not as good as you goes to the jams, he's going to get all the gigs.
Correct.
And you're going to get ignored.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Same thing. And this is the same thing. We've talked about this before, personality and like character and things like that. If the one guy who is not as good as you keeps getting gigs because he's super nice, it's because he's super nice.
Yes.
And you're not as good to work with, you know, like vice versa. You know, So
everyone listening to this right now who's a musician will have played in bands with people that they despise, and simultaneously are really great players. I can think of loads off the top of my head, and I would rather play with someone who's maybe not technically as proficient, but is a nicer person. I would rather have that every day.
100%.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah.
So to wrap up this whole thing, I mean, most musicians are self-employed. Most of my friends who are musicians are self-employed and registered self-employed. And I read a book on self-employment in general. I think everyone should go and read it if you are self-employed. It's the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber.
I'm going to look that up right now.
It's an absolute beast of a read. It's great. It's so good. So I'll give you the sort of basic. I've mentioned it before. The basic sort of premise of the book is there are 3 roles to play when you are self-employed, and those roles are entrepreneur, manager, and technician. So the entrepreneur is the person who creates the ideas. That's the person who goes, I could write a metal song, and I could write a folk song, and I could write a blah, 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 right? And then the manager comes along and goes, well, we don't really need all of this. Let's just focus on this, right? And then the technician comes along and does the job and actually does the thing. So I'll give you, in my case, an entrepreneur would come into, I want to start a studio, and I'm going to record rap, I'm going to record hip-hop, I'm going to record jazz, I'm going to record bebop, I'm going to record orchestral, and I'm going to mix and master and offer video, and I'm going to do vocal tuning and editing and everything.
I'm going to have this like pool of like studio musicians that they can just hire in.
Yes.
And I'm also like they're hired under my name and stuff like that, and it's this whole thing.
That's what I'm going to do, right? That's what my brain says, right? And the manager comes along and goes, if you try to appeal to that many people, no one's going to find you appealing. So why don't you just start at one thing and see how that goes, right? And maybe the manager's a little bit too sterile, and he's like, oh, all these ideas suck. You're just never going to manage to do any of this, right? So the manager and the entrepreneur need to talk to each other and go, right, there's a balance here. I want to get some ideas. Not all ideas are good, so let's just focus on the good ones, whereas the manager might be a little bit too stringent. So you have to strike a balance between these two things. The entrepreneur you could think of as chaotic, chaos, and the manager is order. Too much order, bad. Too much chaos, bad. Need balance. And that's where the technician comes in. Technician comes in once these two people have fought. Now, these people are in your head, right? They've fought over what needs to be done, and then the technician carries out the thing that needs to be done. So the technician, in my case, is the person sitting behind the mixing desk doing the job. Most musicians they just think of themselves as technicians. They just play the music. But they neglect the manager and they neglect the entrepreneur. So they're needing their tax returns are due. The deadline's in like 2 weeks, and they've got their entire books to do for a whole year. Their manager's been off on holiday. He needed to be here a year ago. And the entrepreneur, if he's off on holiday, you've been playing in the same band for 20 years and you hate it. Like, there's not enough ideas. You need to go and broaden your horizons, do more ideas. So that's the 3 characters that need to be in your head as a self-employed person. And this goes across all business, not just musician. You could be a baker, you could be a welder, you could be a window cleaner. It's always these 3. Always can be characterized as these 3. Go read the book.
100%.
E-Myth Revisited. It's a great read. If you're self-employed.
I had a look as well, and if you're like me and you do have an Audible subscription which you're not willing to give up, you can get the audiobook.
Yes, you can. It's great.
And it's read by the man himself.
Yes, it is.
So, definitely something to check out.
He describes this businessy terms in the form of analogies and stories. So he makes up a story to prove his point rather than talk about complex jargon, which I really like. He tells it in a story form, and he gives you a character called Sarah who opens up her own bakery and she's unhappy with how it's running, and he's telling her all about balancing these 3 personalities, and it's very story-like, so it's easy to understand. And it applies to musicians. It applies to anyone who's trying to, make some things for people to give them money for. Self-employment.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a energetic episode.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that chat. That was fun.
Yeah. So
we went on for a long ass time.
Yeah, that's over an hour. Yeah. Cool. So I hope you'll get something out of this one. I thought it was good. It was good to talk about because money's been scarce for musicians over this period, including myself. And this is me kind of like lecturing myself as well. I'm guilty of a lot of this.
We all are, one way or another.
So everyone needs a little pep talk every now and again. So we'll be yeah, we like doing stuff like this, like because it's all about leveling up your brand, and it's trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
So, as always, if you're enjoying our rants on the internet, please leave us a review and a rating wherever you happen to listen to it, and
tell other people about our rants.
Yeah.
Hey, check out this rant.
Yeah,
check out these boomers complaining.
Yep, please do. The more people start to think about leveling up their band, the better, because nobody likes crap bands, right? Nobody likes crappy wee bands.
There's a great song that I heard, actually. It got recommended to me, and it's really funny. I'll send it over to you. I don't know that it will be your thing, but it's called, like, let me look it up just before we finish up. It's called Nobody Likes the Opening Band. That's the name of the song. Definitely check it out. It's by I Don't Know How But They Found Me.
I don't know how but they found
That's the name of the band. I Don't Know How But They Found Me, all in capitals. And the song's called Nobody Likes the Opening Band. It's just a 2-minute 35-second long ditty, and it's phenomenal. For those of you who are listening to the podcast and you like bands like Panic at the Disco and that kind of thing, you'll like this. Right. You'll really enjoy it. If you're partial to a bit of Queen, it's that same kind of like rock opera type vibe. It was really funny.
Cool. Next week we've got a couple of ideas lined up. But if you have any ideas for what we should talk about, please let us know. We're always looking for things to talk about, and
like we won't know if it's a silly idea until you send it to us.
Yeah, and then we'll mock you.
And even then we'll be polite. We won't tell you. We'll just be like, "Thank you for your suggestion."
Yeah. Or just look at this stupid person. Look at what they. Oh no, we won't do that.
No,
we are very open to suggestions. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
So that was a big episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you all have a great week. And see you next time. Bye.
Bye.